Kim and I met about 7 years ago and quickly became friends. We both grew up in the Midwest, where we were God-fearing Christians who put only God before family. We enjoyed going to church every Sunday and making plans for our future. I was a successful engineer with a promising future, and Kim sold accounting software for a large technology firm based in Atlanta. Before we got married, my mom and dad bought me a 3-bedroom house after I graduated from college. They made a lot of money and wanted to share their success with others while they were still alive. Most people pass on their earthly possessions when they die, never being able to enjoy the happiness of the gifts they can give during their lifetime. Mom and Dad shared their blessings while they were still alive and enjoyed their shared happiness. Kim and I got married a little over 5 years ago and have been on a perpetual honeymoon ever since. Our sex life was great, and we made love at least 4 nights a week. We were soulmates, and all our friends were sick of how close and loving we were to each other. We were lucky enough to give birth to 2 beautiful blonde twin girls, and after their birth, our lives changed for the better. We devoted all our time to raising the girls and making sure they had a loving home. We had a lifestyle that others might consider boring. We ate at home most evenings, went out on Friday and Saturday nights, and went to church on Sunday. We were not interested in social life and fashion like other people our age. Kim wore conservative clothes at work and at home and indulged in anything sexual for my eyes only in our bedroom. Our relationship was based on trust and complete transparency. We never hid anything from each other, which served as a strong foundation for our marriage. Kim was one of those women who needed to show her affection, and I loved the way she lovingly touched me, kissed me, and hugged me. We enjoyed sharing our feelings with each other and enjoyed each other immensely. Raising twins can be stressful, but I enjoyed being with them as much as possible. The twins were a little stressful for Kim, but I was happy to take advantage of any weakness and help. We had a great partnership and always worked things out before either of us got upset. Life couldn't be better with Kim and my twin girls. A week before the annual exhibition, Kim was notified that they needed her to participate in the 3-day event. Due to others getting sick with the virus, they had to put Kim on the show. Of course, she tried to get out of it, but they were desperate and she had no choice. "Baby, I'm so sorry about this. I hate leaving you and the girls for 3 days. I called my boss twice and tried to get out of it, but he said he needed us all at this event. You know how much I hate leaving." I watched her pack for the trip and reassured her that we would be fine for a few days and that we would miss her. But we were there to support her. I helped her with her luggage and carried it to the limo the company had hired for the ride to the airport. Like I said, we had a perfect marriage, and I trusted her completely. I have never seen her flirt or act anything other than the perfect, loving wife. We had a completely transparent marriage, and we told each other everything. We shared our love for our children and did everything together. This is why the text I received from my colleague and friend was difficult to believe and process. It was the second night of the show when I received a message from my colleague Greg, who was at a cybersecurity event in Atlanta. "David, how's your weekend going, mate?" "I enjoy my girls." "Kim is at the exhibition, and here I am spending time with my favorite girls." "Aren't you at the security conference this weekend?" "This is true." "You said Kim was at a trade show, right? Do you know which one?" "Well, yes, it's in Atlanta this week, but I'm not sure about the name of the exhibition. Her company displays its products at the convention center." "Why did you ask?" "I'm having dinner with my group, and why are you sitting?" "This is true. What are you trying to tell me, Greg?" His message came with 2 photos and a video. I sat frozen with fear. The first photo was of my wife in an outfit I had never seen before. It was the shortest dress I've ever seen. The plunging neckline showed off her massive breasts, pumps I didn't even know existed. Her hair and makeup were flawless, and she looked stunning. In fact, I have never seen her look so sexy in my life. When I saw the first photo, I was convinced that it was a similar woman, someone who looked like Kim, but it couldn't possibly be her. I laughed to myself, thinking, I wish Kim would dress like that someday, but that's not my wife. I stopped laughing when the next photo came out, which was a close-up of her sitting very close and kissing next to Jonathan, one of her bosses she worked with. I sat there in shock, not moving, not even blinking, until the next photo appeared. It was another close-up of her smiling and looking into Jonathan's eyes. My heart stopped when I saw this message, but I tried to convince myself that there was a good explanation until a few minutes later when the next message arrived. It was a short video of my wife kissing Jonathan with her arms around his neck and his hand on her right breast. That's when my head exploded. At that moment, I felt my whole world collapse on me. Tears of pain rolled down my face as my heart raced, and I felt nauseous. A message has arrived. Friend, are you okay? What should I do? Can you see her right now? Yes. I'm going to call her right now and just check on her. I dialed her number and heard the phone ring several times before it went to voicemail. I left her a message saying we missed her and just wanted to talk to make sure she had a good night. I called Greg. I just called her. What did she do? David, I'm so sorry about this. She took her phone out of her purse, looked at the caller ID, and then put it back in her purse. Man, I can't believe it's her. I mean, I've never seen her act or dress like that. David, I never realized how hot your wife was. Sorry, that's not what I meant. It's okay, Greg. Thank you for sharing this with me and not hiding it from me. You are a good friend. I'll figure it out and you don't need to interfere. If possible, do not show your face to her. Let me know if anything else happens, but don't waste any more time following her. Then I'll figure it out myself, my friend. Are you going to be okay? No, I'm far from it, but I know what I have to do, and I'll take care of it. I'm still in shock, and it will take me a while to understand everything, but you know I will. Thanks again. My pleasure. I love you, buddy. I'm here for you. Take care of yourself, Greg. Thanks again. I poured myself something stronger and sat in the dark living room, trying to understand how my world had collapsed in less than 20 minutes. I never had any idea there was a problem in our relationship. How long has this been going on? Was I really that stupid and didn't recognize the signs? No. She never gave me any reason to think that way. In fact, over the past 6 months, she has become more loving than ever. Our sex life doubled in intensity, and our relationship became stronger. It didn't make any sense, and I couldn't understand any of it. Over the next hour, Greg sent more photos and videos. There was a short video of them dancing with his hand on her ass, another short video of them kissing on the dance floor, and another photo of them kissing deeply in private on a deserted dance floor. I realized that they must have been kissing so passionately that they didn't notice the music had stopped. I knew it was over between us, but I still had so much to learn and understand. Being an engineer and a problem solver, I went into analytical mode and spent the next few days trying to come up with a plan. Surprisingly, Kim called me at 10 p.m. after their last photo arrived. I took a deep breath and tried to regain my composure. I wasn't going to give anything away or let her know that I had any idea what she was doing. Hello, dear. Sorry I missed your previous call. I was in a dinner meeting and couldn't speak. I miss you so much, baby, and I wish I could be there with you, under the covers, kissing all of you. I miss you too, Kim. I love you so much and thank you for calling. The girls are so cute, and I will send you some photos. They miss their mom and want you to come home. I tried to leave tomorrow, but my boss told me that I should stay here. I hate being away from you, darling. We'll celebrate when you get home. Are you done for today? Yes, I'm getting ready for bed and another long day of work. I love you, baby, and I will call you tomorrow. Good night, Kim. I love you more than you can imagine. And I hung up the phone as my tears started flowing again. What I said was true. I loved her more than life itself and wanted this to be a bad dream. It was already past midnight when I was lying in bed and could not sleep. I wondered if she was really in her hotel room and what she was doing. My question was answered when I received another message from Greg. It was a photo of my wife Kim and Jonathan on a sofa in what looked like a hotel lobby. It was a photo of them kissing. His hand was tucked under her short skirt and her arms were wrapped around his neck. They looked like two newlyweds sharing their love in public, so to speak. And one last thing, buddy. I'm done for today, but it looks like she'll be busy. Let me know if you want me to stop. I can break it off quite easily right now. It's hard to see, but thank you for these photos. No, let her go. It's all her fault, and you don't need to get involved. Let it go. Thanks again. I cried until I fell asleep, knowing that the love of my life had betrayed me, our marriage vows, and our girls. Sleep finally took away the pain and tears until I woke up the next morning. There were several loving messages from Kim with hearts, kisses, and emojis. She confessed her love and said how much she missed me and the girls. She told me to get ready for a wild night of sex when she returned. She acted so sweet and loving, as if nothing had happened. I started to wonder if maybe she had a dissociative disorder and didn't know what she was doing. Maybe she was drugged with something? I searched for answers, but realized I had to face the facts and plan ahead. She was due home in a few days, and I needed to deal with all of this. We talked several times a day, and everything was fine. She kept telling me how much she missed all of us and wanted to go home. I wasn't sure what angered me more. Was it because she cheated and was with another man, or was it because she cheated and lied? She took me for a fool, and it hurt as much as seeing her kiss Jonathan. After Greg's messages and the revelation that my wife had made me her cuckold, I took action. Since I was the tech guru in the family, I added some software to her phone that allowed me to find the phone if it ever got lost. Of course, I bought the latest software on the market and installed it, and even explained to Kim how to use it. This software package also included a voice recorder for recording voice, text, and email, with automatic upload to the cloud if activated. Let me be clear, I didn't install this software on my phone to spy on her, but it turned out to be useful. Before last night, I would never have thought to look into any of her personal belongings, but after last night, my trust will never be the same. I had to protect the girls and save our marriage if possible. Fortunately, the girls kept me busy and distracted me from thoughts about my crumbling marriage. Making breakfast, cleaning up after them, and playing with dolls with them was something I loved and cherished. I'm not sure if you've ever had to take care of 3-year-old twins, but let me tell you, it's quite a workout. It was 2 p.m., and I finally got the girls to take their afternoon nap. I showered and cleaned up the house before sitting down at the table to catch up. Kim sent me 6 more loving messages and said she would call me at 5 p.m. after they were done for the day. After reading them, I accessed the cloud from my laptop, logged into her account, and looked at everything that had been downloaded since I activated the recording spyware. I sat in shock as I read the messages being sent to Jonathan. Here are a few of them. You were amazing last night, baby. I can't wait to be together again tonight. Thank you, kitten. I liked it too. Can we go back to my room after we finish before dinner? Absolutely, but I need to call my husband before we go. I should be ready by 5:15. Does hubby have any idea about us? Of course not. He knows I love him, and I'll make sure he keeps thinking that. What we do is something he never needs to know about. We've kept it a secret for over 6 months, and he has no idea. I know how to handle him, don't worry. I had to stop reading because my anger was becoming all-consuming. Kitty? Did he call her kitten? That's what I called her when we had sex and made love. Did she give him that too? Was I really that stupid and had no idea? What kind of fool was I? I dropped my laptop on a chair, jumped up, and screamed. I grabbed the lamp from the table and threw it forcefully into the wall, breaking it into 1,000 pieces. The anger I had learned to control now took over. I was about to break another lamp when I heard the girls crying. The crying brought me back to consciousness, and I immediately regained control of myself. I went into the bedroom and held both girls in my arms until they stopped crying and calmed down. I let them play in the living room while I sat down on a chair with another strong drink after cleaning up all the glass, following my temper tantrum. In my opinion, the marriage is over and it's time to take action. I didn't have the willpower to listen to their conversations anymore or look at any of the other downloaded files, so I just let them accumulate in the cloud. I decided the best course of action was to play along with Kim, just like she played with me. I intended to act like a loving husband when I formulated my plan of action. My immediate plan was to contact a divorce lawyer, a private investigator, and figure out a way to maintain custody of the girls. Girls were my main concern, and the only thing that mattered to me in this world. "Hi, baby. How are the girls doing? They miss their mommy." "Oh my God, they are all I think about all day long, and of course you too. I can't wait to hug you when I get home. I'm going to give you the warmest kiss you've ever received." I played along. "Oh baby, I think about you all day, and I can't wait to hug my loving, sexy wife. Soon, baby, we'll be together again." Somehow I held it together, and the call lasted exactly 15 minutes. At 5:15, she ended the call and said, "I love you, David. I need to go now. The bus leaves back to the hotel, and I need to leave. I'll write to you later. I love you." Another easy-to-tell lie. She was definitely good at it. "I love you too, baby. More than you'll ever know." The pain of her lies and deceit has now been replaced by contempt, anger, and revenge. I was going to destroy this woman and make her pay for her lies and deceit. I truly loved this woman with all my heart, and it was the hardest thing I have ever had to do. I met her at the airport, and she hugged me and kissed me just like she promised. Either she was a better actress, or she really loved me that much. Was she just using Jonathan for sex? I continued to be confused by her antics. She spent an hour with the girls and enjoyed being with them. That night in bed, she was overly affectionate and repeatedly told me how much she missed me and the girls, and she hated that she was away from us for so long. She said that all she thought about was being with me like this, now, in bed, holding each other. She was gentle, loving, and completely different from the woman who was at the fair. I was loving too, and I really enjoyed being with her that way. It felt good, and I wanted it to be real because being with her is how I wanted to spend my life. But I knew it would all be over soon. I never let her know what I learned, and I gave her my love and satisfied her every night. Anyone who saw us would think we had the most amazing relationship and would be jealous of our love for each other. This went on for 3 months, and I tried to look for any signs of an affair, but there was nothing to point to. She returned home from work at the same time every evening, no unusual phone calls or text messages. I even thought that maybe it was all a mistake and everything would work out. Mr. Bryce, a private investigator, called me and made an appointment for the next day. I drove downtown to their office and sat in their conference room. "Good afternoon, David. Good to see you again." "It's good to see you, Mr. Bryce." "David, I wish I had nothing to report, and I wish I could tell you that you were wrong, but unfortunately, I have bad news." "Are you ready to see our investigation?" I sighed and said yes. I hoped for the best, but I also knew what was going on between Kim and Jonathan. Mr. Bryce produced a thick leather 3-ring binder and placed it in front of me. There were several sections with tabs labeled text messages, voice transcripts, video calls, phone call transcripts, and photos. "Mr. Bryce, before we reveal this, I am very confused because for the past 3 months, I have been closely monitoring her movements and schedule, and this is nothing unusual. She was the perfect wife and lover, and nothing makes sense." "Well, let me walk you through this and see if anything clears up." I stopped looking at cloud files because my heart couldn't handle the texting and prayed for the best. Of course, this was not meant to be. There were more than 75 pages of text messages, 25 pages of emails, 75 pages of time-stamped photos of them going in and out of hotel rooms together. There were over 82 video calls and 50 pages of phone conversations. Kim and Jonathan have been visiting this motel at least 4 times a week for the past 3 months. You can see their photos every day at 1 p.m. They spent an average of 2 hours together during each visit. It seems that for the past month there have been 2 men who have been visiting your wife 4 times a week. Do you recognize this man? Oh my God, is this Jason Sinclair? Is he the CEO of her company? Are you saying she's cheating on me with 2 guys and one of them is the CEO? Sorry to have to tell you this, but based on text messages, phone calls, and videos, he is clearly having a sexual relationship with your wife. The video call labeled balcony actually captured him making love to your wife as she leaned over the railing. I think they felt untouchable and didn't realize they were being filmed. Our 8K video captured close-ups of their faces, and our audio captured them as well. He played the video on the 80-inch display. There was Kim, my wife, leaning over the railing with her CEO standing behind her. I felt nauseous. I had to leave the room for a few minutes to recover. I went back to the conference room and forced them to continue because now I wanted to see what she was doing. The video marked Balcony 2 shows your wife with Jason and Jonathan at the same time. I'm so sorry I have to show all this, but since they were in public, you can use these videos if you decide to continue with your divorce and custody battle. I sat with my mouth open in amazement. I still found it hard to believe that it could be Kim, and I prayed that this would all turn out to be one huge mistake. David, we've looked into Jonathan Wilkes and Jason Sinclair. We found the following. Jonathan has been married for 10 years and has 4 young children. Mr. Sinclair has also been married for 25 years and has 3 grown children. The text messages reveal that Jonathan brought Jason into their games after your wife said she wanted to try a threesome. It's getting pretty dark here, so I'll let you read when you're ready. Take the folder and this USB drive with all the files and videos. I'm sure your lawyer will need both. When I met with my lawyer, she was amazed at the amount of data we were able to gather and could not believe that there were no signs of her adultery at home. She continues to act like a loving wife and mother, as if everything is completely normal. The lawyer said that we have several actions that we can take based on the files I provided. She needed time to work through all of our options and scheduled an appointment for the following week. I told her to start filing the divorce papers as soon as possible. I left the office with a big hole in my stomach. I knew it was over before I had these meetings, but watching these videos ended any hopes of reconciliation. Still confused, I asked myself, who was this woman? After the girls went to bed, we sat on the couch and watched an old movie I picked up on Netflix called Unfaithful. I heard it was a good film. Let's give it a chance, I said, pressing play. Since the film was about cheating spouses, I planned the conversation in advance. During the movie, I told Kim that there was a girl in my office who had been hitting on me for the past few months. You can imagine me with another woman, I said, laughing. She looked at me with narrowed eyes. Really, who? If I catch you even thinking about being with her, I'll leave. You understand? You belong to me and no one else, she said, with a serious expression on her face. Even though I tried to remain cheerful, she wasn't fooling around. She made it clear that she would not tolerate any deception. I couldn't believe how angry she was about this, how hypocritical one person can be. She got angry about it while she has sex with 2 men every day behind my back. Unreal. This is driving me crazy, David. Why didn't you tell me about her before? What is her name? Kim, relax. She is an intern, a young girl who loves to flirt. I completely ignored her. What about you, Kim? You are the most beautiful girl in your office. Are you saying that no one flirts with you? Of course not. They all know that I'm married and that I would never cheat on you. So, during our entire marriage, you never thought about being with another guy or did anything like that? I mean, even a friendly kiss. Have you ever cheated on me, baby? Now she was truly angry. Are you kidding me? Did you really just ask me that? I constantly tell you how much I love you. I am always with you, and I could never think of being with another man. You're an ass. I can't believe you asked me this. I apologized, I agreed with her, and continued watching the movie. I smiled to myself, thinking that she should have become an actress, because she was so convincing that I even doubted myself. No wonder she was so good at her job, I thought. After things had calmed down a bit, she pressed herself against my shoulder again, and I felt the time had come. I picked up my phone, opened the text app, and selected a photo of Kim and Jonathan kissing on the dance floor with his hand on her ass. I was looking at the photo when she noticed that I was distracted. What are you doing, David? Why aren't you watching the movie? Because what I'm looking at is more realistic? What are you talking about? I turned off the sound on the movie and showed her the photo. She froze and tried to say something, but nothing came out. I sat there, still looking at the photo, and said, "Wow, what a sexy kiss you're giving Jonathan." "I can explain. Where did you get this photo from?" "When you were having dinner with your boyfriend, Greg Stanton was in the same restaurant and saw you with that guy. He texted me to find out if it's really you or if you're a perfect match. Well, it was you, and he sent it to me. Moreover, I must say that you look so sexy in this dress. I have never seen you in such a short or revealing dress. I think you wanted to impress your boyfriend. Oh, you were going to explain it." "I can't wait to hear this," I said, putting the phone back on my lap. "Baby, we only had one dance and he was drunk. When the song ended, he grabbed me and kissed me. What you don't see is that right after that I slapped him and made quite a scene. I would never let this happen. I actually bought this dress for a business dinner, but I didn't realize how revealing it was until now. I am so sorry." "Oh, I understand. This can happen. And that was the only time this happened?" I could tell she wasn't as confident as usual and said, "Yes, baby, and he'll never do it again." The movie continued, and I sat back and sat quietly, knowing that Kim was worried. After a few minutes, I took my phone and opened a video of them sitting on the couch with my hand up her skirt and started watching. She looked at me with a frightened look. "What are you looking at now?" "Remember that night when you called me and said you had a long day and you went back to your room and were getting ready to sleep?" "Yes," she whispered. "It's funny because I got another text from Greg 2 hours after you called, and this time it was a video. Do you want to take a look?" I said as I pressed play and clearly showed her and Jonathan kissing as his hands explored her hidden treasures that were supposed to be mine alone. "I can't wait to hear a new explanation," I said, smiling. Now my anger was gone, and all I felt was contempt and amusement at her reaction. "Oh my God, David, I am so sorry." After we got off the phone, Jonathan called and said we needed to discuss the problem with one of the clients we were meeting with in the morning. He asked me to go down to the lobby to prepare for the meeting. I barely remember this video because I had a few drinks and got a little drunk. You know how I am when I'm drunk. I know the video looks bad, but nothing happened after that. I remember exactly how I went up to my room. I told him to stop, was happily married, and left. Nothing happened. You have to trust me. "That's part of the problem, kitten," I said, emphasizing the name kitten. I saw her blink when I said that and continued. "The problem is that I always believed you, but in the last 20 minutes, you lied to me twice. Can you see it from my side? I'm alone, and the love of my life is kissing her boss in 2 photos while wearing the sluttiest outfit she's ever worn. How do you think I feel, baby?" "David, I love you. This was 3 months ago. Why didn't you say anything earlier?" "Honestly, I wanted to see if you would tell me yourself. I wanted to make sure my wife was as honest and transparent as we have always been with each other. But now I understand how things are between us. Are you lying about anything else? Are you having an affair with him? You love him?" Now I was playing with her and enjoying her confusion and acting. She started sobbing and kept telling me how much she loved me. "Kim, please stop telling me that you love me so much. I'm sure you love me and I still love you, but that has nothing to do with these photos. I need to understand why. And is there anything else you're lying about?" I said, pressing the recorder button on the phone without her knowledge. "David, listen to me. Nothing happened. Yes, I think I kissed him like you saw, but that was it. And every time I told him to stop. I'm not sure what Greg saw or told you, but you have to believe me. Okay? Stop crying, baby. I believe you. However, I am confused by the way you were dressed. I mean, you never wear anything like that for me, and you never do your hair and makeup like that either. Did you do this for him? You haven't answered my question. Do you love him? Do you want to leave me for him, Kim? Please, I need to know the truth." The sobs resumed. "No, David, I love only you. I never want to lose you. Nothing happened, and I don't know why I dressed like that. This is so unlike me. Maybe it was because all the other women dressed similarly, and I wanted to look just as good. I don't know for sure. I was a little unsure of myself. I think I can understand that, and it makes sense. But why didn't you tell me about Jonathan and your closeness? Since nothing actually happened and I put an end to it, I didn't want to upset you. I mean, he's my boss, and I couldn't afford to lose my job if anything happened. If something really happened, I would tell you right away, you know? I kissed her and held her gently, letting her cry. This was just the beginning of a month-long episode of playing out my revenge. That night we made love, and I enjoyed her amazing skills, aloof as her husband, and thinking of myself as one of her sexual partners. I wasn't going to deprive myself of her body and warn her about something unusual. The acting here was impressive, but at that moment, I didn't care anymore. She was more passionate than ever, trying to convince me that I was her only love. This continued for the next few weeks, every night. Her acting skills were on point, and I just enjoyed the show. The next morning, I did go to the Cloud to see if she had any correspondence with Jonathan, and of course, she did not disappoint. Oh my God! Someone took photos of us at the fair and sent them to David. His friend was at the restaurant and saw me without David. I'm not sure if he knows, but the video showed us kissing. Holy shit. Now that you mentioned it, I remembered that some guy with a phone across from us was watching what was happening. But I didn't think anything like that. What did David do? Nothing. I convinced him that nothing happened and stopped you. He has no idea that I spent the night in your room. I convinced him it was alcohol and made amends. He is easy to convince. A few kisses and good sex is all I ever needed to give him. Be careful, baby. We agreed that tomorrow we will meet there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, as usual. Cannot wait. Too much time has passed. I love you, baby. I love you too, kitten. This was the last message, and I sat in silence, thinking about all this. Yes, obviously, I was the biggest idiot in the world, but revenge is sweet, and I walked the scorched earth. But I took the time to enjoy Kim's antics and see how many more lies she would tell. The first thing I did, of course, was take care of my financial situation, transferred funds, closed accounts, and so on. I left my main Visa card open and lowered the limit to $2,500 to control any damage it might cause. Since Kim had no idea how upset I was, she never thought I would change anything. I confirmed to the lawyer that since the house belonged to me before marriage, I would not have to leave the house once she was notified. Of course, I prepared the infamous email that I eventually sent, including video, text messages, and photos, to all of her friends, family, and work colleagues. I also created duplicate 3-ring binders from my personal account for Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wilkes to share their pain. I would post this at the same time everyone is notified and cases are being filed. I asked my lawyer to prepare to file public civil lawsuits against both Jonathan, her boss, and Jason, the CEO of the company. Since the company was one of the largest technology companies on the East Coast, my lawyer was thrilled to have the CEO involved. We were going to make them a settlement offer before going public with how the CEO and managers were sexually harassing their employees. We worked with child guardian services attorneys to obtain full custody of the children and prepared the documents, file, and binder for the investigation. Over the next few weeks, everything seemed normal. We loved children and spent time together every day as usual. We went to dinner and discussed everything, avoiding the big elephant in the room. I'm sure my silence on the matter drove her crazy. Not knowing what I was thinking must have been exhausting. I decided to have some more fun with Kim and asked a few questions. So, Kim, did your boss take any steps against you after the fair? Do you want to tell me something? From her conversations with Jonathan, I knew that they still met every day at the hotel. I wasn't sure how she could control herself and lie so easily. It was funny to watch her reaction, and now I can even tell when she was going to lie. She calmly answered, "No, nothing at all. It's weird because we both act like nothing happened. And it's true, nothing actually happened. He was a total professional, and we rarely even talk because we are so busy with our projects." I just sat there with a cheeky smile, still amazed that the mother of my children and the love of my life could lie to me so easily. That night, I released the last of the anger that was still bubbling inside my body. I challenged her and took full advantage of her that night. Oh my God, David, what came over you? You are a wild man today. I have never seen you so rude and unbridled. I liked it. What a nightmare, I thought. I knew this would be the last time before all this shit came out tomorrow, and I was going to take as much as I could from my soon-to-be ex-wife. That afternoon, the sheriff walked into the offices of Tricom International and demanded to see Mr. Sinclair. A few moments later, Sheriff Clark entered Sinclair's office and handed him an envelope. "Mr. Sinclair, you have been notified." A second later, he was alone in his large office, holding an envelope in his hands, and fear took over his entire body. After he read the complaint for the third time, he immediately told his secretary to invite Jason to his office. While his secretary was calling, Jason had just been served his complaint from the same sheriff. He hurried into Sinclair's office, and they both stood there, shocked and confused. "What the hell? How did this happen, Jason? If my wife finds out about this, I will be ruined. It is your fault. You told me this bitch would never leave us. You fix this, Jason, or I swear I will destroy you and your family. You understand?" Sinclair was a man not to be messed with. A ruthless street man who had worked his way to the top of this multi-billion-dollar organization and had no intention of giving up. Jonathan ran out of his office and waited for the elevator to go down to the 12th floor and talk to Kim. As he walked down the hallway toward Kim's office, he saw the sheriff coming in the opposite direction and realized that he was coming from Kim's direction. He ran into her office and saw her sitting at her desk, with tears streaming down her face. She cried uncontrollably and could not speak. David had just destroyed her world, just like she had destroyed his months ago. It took her over an hour to calm down enough to be able to speak, and even then, she could barely string a sentence together. Kim, what the hell happened? How did he know about all of us?" "What do you mean? I was just served with divorce papers. What do you mean by us?" "Sinclair and I have also been prosecuted and are facing a civil lawsuit for what happened. We don't know what evidence he has, but there must have been more to it than the 2 images you saw. You need to force David to back down, otherwise Sinclair will destroy us and my family. Oh my God, this is bad. It's horrible. Go to him and make him understand. Do whatever you need to do to stop this. Go home and deal with this. Call me tonight if you can and let me know what's going on." Kim packed her things, still shaking, and drove home. The man she loved, her husband, and the father of her children, was going to divorce her. She didn't want a divorce and really loved David, but somehow she found that sexual stimulation was what she needed and couldn't stop. She had to make David understand that she couldn't lose him over this. She returned to an empty house. The girls were at David's sister's house, as they were every afternoon, while they both worked. She called David's sister and asked if she could leave the children overnight. She didn't ask why, but of course Katie was happy to have the girls over for the night. Kim took a shower, fixed her hair and makeup, and waited for David to return from work. At 6 o'clock, she heard the garage door open and nervously waited for him to enter the house. "Hi, Kim. I didn't expect to see you tonight. I assumed you'd be with Jonathan. Oh, wait, he's married and has kids. I think this might be awkward. David, please, let's talk." She took his hand and sat him down next to her on the sofa. She looked surprisingly put together and much nicer than usual when she met him. He expected this and continued to play the game. "David, as you already know, I was notified today. But do you understand that I don't want a divorce? I need you, and I love you. I won't sign these papers. Jonathan means nothing to me. Yes, we had sex, but it was not love. I just needed it, and I'm so sorry. I'll never do this again, I promise." "Oh, do you promise? I think I can trust you now. So yeah, I'll just forget everything and we can go back to normal," I said, with a loving smile. Kim grabbed me and kissed me. "Thank you, baby. I love you so much. I'm glad that you forgive me and understand. I will never lie to you again." This was a surprise. I was sure that she understood that I was being sarcastic. I pulled back and pushed her away. "You're crazy, woman. I can never trust you again. After all your lies and deceit, There is nothing left. I gave you so many chances, but you continued to lie, fool me, and ruin our lives. I know all about your daily hotel lunch meetings with your bosses. Did you really think that I would take you back after what you did? Have you ever thought about the harm you are doing to girls? There's no way I can close my eyes to this. But you have to. And why are you going after Sinclair and Jonathan? Well, your fuck buddies are also your CEOs and CEOs of a multi-billion-dollar company. After I leave your ass, I'm going to need money to properly support the girls, and considering they're partly responsible for destroying our marriage and my life, I'm going to destroy them too. I intend to destroy their family, harm them financially, and use them the way they used you. Kim had never heard David talk like that, and she had never seen him so angry and focused. The gravity of the situation finally dawned on her, and she realized that she was no longer in control of the situation or her husband. All she could do now was beg. So, with tears in her eyes, on her knees, she held David's legs and begged for forgiveness. David really felt sorry for her, but his rage overcome this weakness, and he carried her to the sofa. In a soothing voice, David addressed Kim as if she were a child. Listen to me, Kim. You need to pack your bag and go to your mom's house for a few nights. Find a lawyer and then we can set up a meeting to discuss everything. In the meantime, a word to the wise, I advise you to stay away from Jason and Jonathan. Things are about to get ugly. Later that evening, at her mom's house, she explained that she and David had gotten into a little fight and needed to be with her for a few days. At 11 p.m. that same day, she called Jonathan on his cell phone. Jonathan asked her to wait and quickly connected Jason with a three-way call. Jason, are you here? Kim, are you there? Yes, we are here. Sinclair began the conversation. So, Kim, did you manage to persuade him to give up the lawsuits and the divorce? No, in fact, he kicked me out and warned me to be careful because it could lead to trouble. Sinclair shouted into the phone. Jesus Christ, Jonathan, what have you done? Kim, you're a fucking bitch. I swear I will have you and Jonathan killed if my family finds out about this. I don't care what you do, but make it stop. Kim cried, I can't do anything. He is out of control and won't listen to anything I say. He doesn't even answer my calls or texts. Sinclair spoke up. Jonathan, you need to fix this. Make an appointment with David and have him meet us at a bar somewhere. Anything loud and the noisier the better. Kim, you will be there too, and ask him to drop the lawsuit in front of us. If he says no, then Jonathan and I will explain how harmful it will be for him and his family if he doesn't back down. I have people tasked with fixing things like this, and I won't hesitate to use them to keep this show from turning into complete crap. Jonathan, do you understand what you need to do? Yes, Mr. Sinclair. Kim, you know what you have to do, right? Yes, Mr. Sinclair. Do it and make it happen tomorrow afternoon. We don't have time to waste. Make an appointment tomorrow. Sinclair disappeared. Kim and Jonathan hung up after a few minutes, mulling over the situation. That night, when David heard the call, he was not surprised by their desperation and made his own plan. As expected, Jonathan called David the next morning and asked for a meeting to discuss a settlement. He said to meet him in the courtyard at 6 p.m. that same day. David agreed, and at 4 p.m. he was in his private investigator's office, preparing to meet with Jonathan. They have used the latest technology with noise-canceling technology to focus on the frequency of the voice and get clear sound, even in noisy environments. A private investigator will also be there to film the meeting as a stand-in for the event. David entered at 6:15, deliberately making them wait for him and adding a little extra time for the private investigator to locate his video camera. David saw Kim and approached the group. Kim, I'm surprised to see you here with your boyfriends, but I think we know what your alliance is. Gentlemen, what can I do for you? Why are we here? Sinclair spoke. David, I'm Jason Sinclair, and I asked for this meeting. Sinclair, you look completely different in real life. These videos don't do you justice. I can't say that I'm pleased to meet you. Yes, that is exactly why we are here. This is Jonathan Wilkes. Jonathan, the man who had sex with my wife and destroyed my marriage. I can't say I'm pleased to meet any of you. Sinclair spoke up. I don't blame you for your anger. Believe me, If I were you, I don't know what I would do, but whatever it is, we need to discuss something. Come on, what's on your mind? Said David. We want you to drop the lawsuits you filed against me, Jonathan and company. Funny, that's all? Oh no, sorry. I can't do this. Someone has to pay for taking away the most important thing in my life. Looking at Kim, he added, the only woman I have ever loved and the mother of my children. I can't imagine life without her. Kim began to cry when she realized how she had destroyed the most important things in her life. What will it take for you to stop all this and bring Kim back? Name your price. First of all, there is no amount of money in the world that you could offer me to take her back. She betrayed my love, my trust, and the lives of our children for a party with you two idiots. This will never happen. I will drop the civil and corporate cases under two conditions. Number one, I want $5 million compensation. Number two, I want to meet both of your wives and Kim. You fully admit what you did. If you agree to these two conditions, I will stop business. Fuck you, David. I will give you $100,000, and you will have to sign an agreement that you will never discuss this with anyone. Sinclair leaned over and spoke quietly. I can't put my family through this, and if they find out, David, I'll kill you. Kim told us your entire daily routine, and making you disappear would be a piece of cake. So let's try again. He was shocked when David smiled and took a sip of his drink. Well, I can reduce the amount to $4 million, but your families need to know what you did. Sinclair was dumbfounded. David, you're writing your own death sentence. Think about it carefully. Drop the charges and take Kim back. It was just a fling. We can end this. David took out his phone and sent 2 text messages, opened his email and sent the email he had set up. All videos and images, text messages, have now been sent to all of Kim's friends, her family, and work colleagues. The 2 text messages David sent were to the couriers who were sitting in front of Jason and Jonathan's house, awaiting his instructions. The message said, "Deliver the package," and within minutes, Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wilkes now had duplicate 3-ring folders containing all the photos, videos, messages, phone calls, and evidence of their affair. Sinclair began to get angry and shouted due to David's inattention, "What the fuck, David? I'm talking to you." "What are you going to say? Will you drop the charges?" "My answer to you, Jason, Jonathan, and my wife is, go to hell." Just then, Jason and Jonathan's phones rang. Both their wives were talking on the phone. I saw Sinclair's face turn red, and he looked at me with angry eyes. I saw that Jonathan was in shock and actually saw tears welling up in his eyes. Kim looked at me and asked what was going on. I replied, "Check your email in a few minutes and I think you will understand." Sinclair hung up the phone with his wife, pointed his finger at my chest, and shouted, "You're dead, David. I'm going to cut your throat and watch you die like a dog." He turned and left the bar. Jonathan looked at me and simply said, "Why? Why did you do this to me?" I was amazed that he asked something so stupid. "Really? You used my wife, the love of my life, and the mother of my twin girls every day for the last 6 months, and set her up with Sinclair for a threesome, and you're surprised someone would strike back. Everything I sent to your sweet wife was for her benefit, so that she would know what a degenerate predator you are, and how you have ruined so many lives." Kim's phone started ringing when her sister, brother, aunt called her just a few minutes later. Now they all watched the videos and photos, and they had a lot of questions. She said she didn't know what they were talking about, and then opened her email to see what I had sent. Her jaw dropped, and she looked at me angrily. "How could you do this to me? You've made it too easy, baby. I really love you, but it's over between us. And after I give this audio recording of this meeting to the police and social services, my lawyer is almost convinced that I will get full custody of the girls, and you will be lucky to avoid jail. Sorry, kitty. Yes, kitten, that's my pet name for you that you shared with your bed buddy. I know it all, princess, and now you must pay for all your actions." To avoid becoming public knowledge, Tricom settled the lawsuit by paying David Hunter $2 million. Jason Sinclair was suspended as CEO and fired without severance for violating the morals clause in his contract. He lost more than $10 million in stock options and a $5 million severance agreement. Sinclair is also serving a 5-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder, along with several other charges, after they investigated his business dealings. Sinclair's wife divorced him while he was in prison and crucified him financially. He will leave prison penniless, without a family and without a place to live. This news made David feel a little better, and he even smiled for the first time in months. Mrs. Wilkes also divorced Jonathan, leaving him no money, no home, no child support, and no half of his income in alimony. He was fined $1 million in a civil trial for conspiracy, adultery, and loss of affection in David and Kim's marriage. He had lost his job and was now working as a day laborer. David was still enjoying his revenge when he received news of Jonathan's fate. He was forced to file for bankruptcy and began living under an overpass near where the day workers gathered. This also gave David some pleasure, and he again found himself smiling more often. Kim was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but with David's help, the sentence was reduced to 1 year of house arrest and 4 years of probation for conspiracy. She lost her fight for the children, and David now has full custody. Because of the evidence and the crime, she was not successful in her divorce. The house belonged to David, so she had nowhere to live. Before she was fired, she made the same amount as David, so there was no child support. Kim fell into a deep depression and now lives in her mother's basement. The family turned on Kim for what she did, which caused her to lose visitation rights with her children. The email I sent with the video and photos attached revealed a dark side of Kim that no one recognized. This had the desired effect and completely destroyed the Kim family's support network. No one can seem to forgive Kim, including Kim herself. She is on medication due to 3 suicide attempts. She's been in and out of mental hospitals for the past 6 months and can't forgive herself for all the lives she helped destroy. David now spends all his time with the girls. Not having to work after the divorce allows him to devote his life to his children. The children have not seen their mother since the suicide attempt, but they have a strong support group in David's sister and mother. The girls will be fine, and this traumatic episode will not have any lasting effects on them. Revenge was sweet, but revenge would never fully heal David's wounds. He still loved Kim and forgave her, but he would never forget her. The girls kept him busy, which prevented him from feeling lonely. Because of betrayal, lies, and deceit, it will be years before David can love and trust again. It's amazing how little things can have a far-reaching impact on so many people. Be careful. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.